Well, I got to say it's really nice to be here in this setting with you guys today. Mayor Dacquisto and I had a great chance to talk about what do we want to do for State of the City this year. This has been a great partnership between the Redding Chamber of Commerce and the City of Redding for many years. And we said, do we want to put on these ties? Do we want to have everybody gather and eat that rubber chicken lunch and hear the pontification of our mayor giving this State of the City address? And we said, no, we don't want to do that. This is a tie-free zone. So having this more casual conversation, I think, should be a good thing for the community, because we want people to have greater access to this information and be able to, plug in, plug out whenever they want.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it's great to be here, Jake, and I think this is our third or fourth year kind of me being a part of State of the City in some way, and I think it's a really amazing testament to kind of how we all work together, because none of the things that we do in the community happen in a silo. I think a lot of people don't understand all the collaboration that happens behind the scenes. So me working with the Chamber, obviously working with the city, our other cities in the community in Shasta County, there's a lot of things that are making this community tick. And I'm excited about this conversation to kind of see what's happening, share things that people might not know about, and kind of see what we have to look forward to in the next few years.
Generally, year after year, each State of the City that I've been a part of, it kind of takes on the flavor of the mayor. We want you to be proud of what's put out, and that it feels right and appropriate for the time. So with that, I know that for our business community, we have lots of issues that we face on a daily basis that I hear about as the president of the chamber. One of them, probably at the top of the list from our survey results, has to do with public safety. And I'm sure as mayor you hear that as well.
Do I ever?
So I guess the question is then, what is the City of Redding doing to help with our quality of life locally and help businesses to be able to be successful in that way?
Well, I'm happy to answer the question, and it involves sort of a long answer, but let me start with the business of government is complex and it's simple. In the simplest form, it's money in and money out. You never have enough money in, and you always have too much money out. So you're always balancing a balancing act. What do we spend money on a fire engine? Do we spend money on raises for the fire department? Do we spend money on new trash cans? So there's always that balancing act that you have to do as a member of city council. And the other part you have to realize is that the government gets its money from the business. So the business is the lifeblood of the community. If there were no businesses here and no commerce here, there'd be hardly any sales tax, there wouldn't be much property tax, there wouldn't be TOT tax, the hotel tax, and then the income would go down. So it's very important to keep the business community vibrant and alive and active so the city can be funded.
We kind of look at it like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs for a community as a foundation. It's as local business goes, so goes the community. And to your point, it's the private sector that feeds the public sector. So in that spirit, I know the Great Recession took a toll on the city's ability to staff its police force and also the fire department as well. So what are the updates in those two areas?
So there's a couple things. The city has been working on, this is my fifth year on the council. We have built up the police department back to its pre-recession levels, pre-that. So we've gotten, I think they're full. I want to say 120 positions, 122 positions, something like that. And they've all been funded. And from the city's perspective, that's a good thing. So we look at that and say, we're doing what we can to improve it. We've got more patrols. We've got the crisis intervention response team. We've got the people that patrol the parks and clean them out every morning and do this and that, and the neighborhood bike patrols. So those are good. But then the perspective of the average citizen, and I use my wife as an example, and she probably hates this, she doesn't want to go downtown. She looks around and she says, I don't like what I see. Perception is reality. The city tries as best as it can to do what it can, but there's no perfect answers. If there was an answer, it would have been solved by now.
The police department experienced a lot of changes after 2008 and the Great Recession. We lost a lot of our staff, sworn and non-sworn. I think one of our biggest accomplishments that I can say we've done in the last year is we're fully staffed. And there's not very many agencies in California that can say that. We're actually not just fully staffed, but we've added a variety of positions and specialty assignments to make our department more effective. dealing with the issues that our community sees on a daily basis. We now have 122 sworn officers. That's 3 more than we've ever had. We have all of our community service officers back. We have 11 CSOs out on the street on a daily basis trying to help the public deal with some of these other calls. We have 4 park rangers patrolling our parks and our river trails. They have a boat now. They're able to go out on the river and do river rescues. They're able to address the homeless camp population on the river that is affecting our visitors. We have a bike team of 4 officers 6 days a week that is patrolling our downtown and our business districts and trying to address those quality of life issues that our public sees. And then I think one of our best and proudest accomplishments is our crisis intervention response team, our CERT team. That's 2 officers in plain clothes. Well, it's actually 4 officers now, but in plain clothes, 2 teams. We have a mental health clinician from Shasta County Mental Health assigned to the team, and they're out there dealing with folks suffering through crisis, mental health crisis, and trying to address those through long-term solutions. The other thing they're doing is going into our homeless camps and providing resources and services, transitional housing, drug and alcohol treatment, and getting folks off the street and getting them back to productive members of society, and they've had great success doing that. And finally, I think I'll mention is our community work program has been working around the clock trying to keep our community clean. Over 600,000 pounds of trash removed from our community last year, and we're well on our way to exceed that this year. We're doing a lot to address the needs of this community, and I'm excited for what we've been able to accomplish.
So on the public safety is the police, and it's also the fire department. And I'm very proud of the Redding Fire Department and what they've done. One of the accomplishments the council has done has gotten all the engines fully staffed with 3 or 4 people. So that's a good thing for the community, because if they had an engine with only 2 people and they go to a certain size fire, they need to wait for a second backup unit to show up before they can go in the building and this and that. So that's been very helpful, and they do a good job. The city council also just gave a big raise to the fire department, like a 20% raise over an 18-month contract. And there were extended and protracted negotiations over that. I personally voted no. The rationale is that it brought them back into parity with the other firefighters in the other similar communities, and we were losing firefighters. I don't think that's true. But the bigger reason that I voted no, and this gets to the budget issue, 82% of the city's discretionary money from the general fund gets spent on police and fire. 82%. So that leaves hardly anything left to spend on parks and roads and other things like that. And it's a difficult proposition to deal with. There are no easy answers. You do the best you can as you go along. It's difficult.
My name's Jared Van Landingham. I'm the fire chief here for the city of Redding. And some of the great successes we've had over the last year and a half or so is that we've finally been able to get new apparatus, new fire engines, new ladder trucks in the fire station. Some of our old equipment was over 20 years old and had a lot of miles on it. And so having these new pieces of equipment in the stations is a huge benefit to our firefighters and to our community. We've improved technology by putting computers in the engine so our firefighters have real-time information at their fingertips. We've improved the radio system so that we have better communication on the fire ground. We've improved physical fitness and peer support for mental health for our firefighters as well. You know, I'm pretty excited about finally getting that new contract with our firefighters accomplished, getting them raises where they need to be in line with other like-sized cities around Northern California is pretty important for us. The big reason is recruitment and retention. We live in a high fire risk area. The topography in Redding, obviously, you know, we have hills and houses that live on top of those hills. We have vegetation that grows all over the place, and we have to encourage the best firefighters to come to our community. We're a great department. We have a great community here. I mean, I was here in the early 90s, and one of the reasons I came back was that I saw the potential at the city of Redding and what was happening here development-wise and community-wise, and it just felt good to come back to a place where I started my fire service career, and then I'm going to finish my fire service career here in the city.
So speaking of revenue, you know, one of the things that I do with the Shasta EDC is I try to bring new businesses to town, and Redding's a great place to do that with because we have our own utilities, we have our own infrastructure, and infrastructure and utilities is a big driving force for bringing businesses to town. So can you tell us a little bit about how our maintenance is looking and what we're doing to basically prepare for the future, because we have seen growth and we're looking to have more modest growth over the next years to come.
So just as a starting point, the city has two sources of money. One is the general fund, which comes from sales tax, property tax, and transit occupancy tax or hotel tax. And that goes for police and fire and some of the discretionary things. The REU charges, when you get your bill every month, there's a certain fee on there, and that goes into a different pot. The same thing with your water bill and your sewage bill and your garbage bill, and those are all what they call enterprise funds. Those funds are doing pretty well, everything considered. REU is especially, and REU has done very, very well. That was one of the best things the city ever did, was to buy the utility. The rates are way lower than PG&E. And the other utilities do well, but they also have infrastructure needs. We're replacing a pump house number 1 or whatever that's really old. I mean, it cost over $1 million to buy garbage cans for 2 years, which I had no idea. It's like, but that's the kind of thing you have to do, and you got to pay for it somehow. So that gets added to your bill, and we do the best we can do. But I think generally speaking, the citizens are certainly happy with REU compared to PG&E. And the other services they provide, the necessary water and wastewater and trash and those kind of things are I think most people are generally happy with it.
Hi, I'm Chuck Auckland, Director of Public Works here at the City of Redding, and I'm pretty proud of what we've done here in Public Works over the last year. We've developed master plans and facility plans for all 3 of our utilities, including water, wastewater, and solid waste, that really provide a roadmap to meet the regulatory, growth, and aging infrastructure needs of our community so we can serve the next generation at affordable and sustainable rates. In that vein, at our wastewater treatment plant, we awarded the pyrolysis project, which is really leading-edge technology that's going to divert over 5,000 tons of biological waste a year into reusable products. It's things we can use for paint dyes and lawn amendments and soil amendments. And we're going to further partner in that process with our solid waste and electric utility to provide an outlet for recycled food waste and capture that gas for resale. Pretty proud of those efforts. We also completed 19 capital construction projects that totaled over more than $49 million. That includes much needed roadway resurfacing and seal jobs, as well as new grant-funded bike lanes and sidewalks. We replaced a ton of water and sewer lines, aging water and sewer lines, odor control down at our Stillwater wastewater treatment plant, and we've even provided 2 new parks for our community, a skate park and a neighborhood park. We also partnered with our development community to construct some much-needed roadway improvements near the South Bonneview interchange, including a new, efficient, modern roundabout that will really allow for the significant retail and commercial growth in that area. We implemented plans during a drought year to bolster our water resources so that they're robust and diverse over the next coming years, including starting the final design process for the replacement of Pump House 1, our main pump house that provides 2/3 of the water in the city, built 85 years ago. We built a treatment process for well 12, which is one of our best producing wells in the Enterprise area. And we partnered with our other agencies around the area to develop a new groundwater sustainability plan. In our solid waste utility began implementation of requirements to meet SB 1383, which is requiring organic diversions from our landfill. So we updated our permit at the transfer facility. We've purchased organics collection equipment and even negotiated a plan with 2 new local vendors to sell ground green waste to them for local projects. And finally, litter abatement efforts. We have really ramped up our efforts, diverting over 300 tons from cleanup sites around the area and nearly doubled the amount of big belly smart trash compactors around the area to a total of 33 for waste in our community. We've done all this to really benefit our community that we all know and love.
Kind of going back to REU a little bit, Redding Electric Utility is, from my perspective, one of the greatest, and you mentioned it, one of the greatest economic drivers for creating jobs in our community, because California, we all know, and I think we can all agree, is a tough place to do business. So anything that we can do to separate ourselves from the rest of the state is a benefit for what I'm doing and what we're doing to create jobs in Shasta County and in Redding. Redding Electric Utility is about 50% of the state average for utilities, so they're very competitive, very reliable, and they're meeting a lot of the climate objectives of the state, which whether we agree with them or not, I think REU is doing a wonderful job of meeting those targets and figuring out ways to come up with solutions to fortify us, to make us more resilient in the future.
Well, one of the things that we've done with REU is they have I think it's called a wildfire mitigation plan that they've worked on over in different stages and this and that. And basically what it consists of is hardening the wires to make it less likely to have a fire start, clearing out underneath the poles and the power thing so there's less likely to have trees fall on them and do things like that. And they also have a fancy camera system that can see smoke really far away, and it notifies you very early so that people can go out there and see what's going on and do this and that. So a lot of that is it's really good. REU is a wonderful asset for the community. I'm very proud and very happy of what they do, and they're very good at energy trading too, where they trade energy, and sometimes in the summertime we can sell it and make money on it, and that goes into the reserves and the cash reserves and the pot and everything like that. So REU is a wonderful thing, I think. I'm very happy with it.
I'm Nick Zettel. I'm the director of Redding Electric Utility. I'd like to start off by mentioning how grateful that I am to be part of this utility and the entire REU team to be here in this moment when we're over 101 years old of serving the city and expect to serve for another 101 plus years. We recognize the value of the utility to the city. We recognize the value from affordability and from reliability. That really lets us laser focus on saving the city over $50 million a year versus our surrounding provider, which keeps money in the pockets of our customers. It encourages economic development for commercial customers to move here because rates are lower, reliability is higher. You know, we understand there's a future coming with electric vehicles, and it's coming soon. What we need to do at Redding Electric Utility is be ready for that. Be poised, be ready, so by the time an electric home is built or you purchase your electric car and you want to put your charger in, the last thing you're thinking of is, can the grid handle this? The grid's taken care of. So over the next 5 years, we'll be pushing deeper and deeper into the system, replacing over 150 miles of underground cable, replacing aging infrastructure, old poles, fixing things that would normally start a wildfire, replacing it with wildfire mitigated equipment. These are all activities that we're intentionally going through our strategic plan to keep this reliability high and keep our costs low. Yeah, I think what makes us different than other areas in the state is our system is built very stout. It's built to handle the hot weather, the air conditioning load, and it's also built for growth. We have a surplus in capacity, and so we're ready to take on more homes, more commercial businesses, more electric vehicle charging. Our rates are very low, some of the lowest in the state, which encourages folks to come here. You can buy more home. You can rent a little bit bigger of an apartment or a house because your power bill's less. Commercial customers want to move here because instead of spending more money on power, they can invest it back into their business or their employees. Our portfolio is over 80% zero carbon. Very important when you're operating in a state that wants to get to zero carbon by 2045. We're already 80% there. Redding's growing. This is a positive community. We have a big future, and we're proud to be a part of it. And we think that using our recipe for success, laser focusing on reliability, keeping our rates affordable for our customers, and then having a safety culture that just goes above and beyond what you normally would, but encompassing wildfire mitigation and the cooperation with our other city departments like Redding Fire Department, Redding Police, that's paramount. That's the value of having a city-owned electric utility is it's all put together at once.
So I don't know if you're aware, but I'm a big baseball fan. And
I'd heard that.
Yeah. So not only did I grow up playing on the fields of Redding, but now I'm a Little League coach, a Little League dad. And so, as are you.
Yes, I am.
know. So it's something that's near and dear to my heart. What the latest information is on Big League Dreams, on Tiger Field, South City Park. These are community amenities that also do a good job of attracting and retaining our workforce. So, Mayor Dacquisto, what do you know about these topics?
I never coached Little League baseball, but I was a baseball fan. My dad actually took me to see the Washington Senators when they were years and years ago and taught me how to keep the little score thing where you do the K and the X and this and that. So, and I'd forgotten that now. So I'll take each one separately. Tiger Field has been a huge success. They've done wonderful things over there at virtually no cost to the city. And so that's a wonderful thing for the community. Big League Dreams, it's an interesting name. Big Dreams. Sometimes the dreams don't always work out exactly the way you think they should. In essence, Big League Dreams started 10 or 15 years ago, and the city signed a long-term lease. And they basically what they said is, we'll let an operator operate the park, and we'll take a percentage of the gross revenue that comes in for our rent. And that worked for a little while, then the operator kind of slowed down and the park didn't get maintained the way it was supposed to. The operator then sold it to a new operator who's in the process now of buying. The operator had 8 or 9 different parks throughout California, and this is the smallest park. So it's the last one to get fixed. But we have a deal with the operator now to pay the back rent and to come and make some capital improvements and fix it back up again. So, but that's a work in progress, and it hasn't worked out exactly the way everybody thought that it should. But I think it's a good idea. There's some disagreement on the council as to what to do with South City Park. And here's the heart of the issue with parks. You can get lots of grant money from all kinds of places to build a park, make a park nicer, make the boat ramp nicer, make this nicer, newer, better. The problem is you have to maintain it. Well, that's a whole separate funding source. And with these grants, there's no funding source to maintain them. And when times get tough, some of the first things that get cut are park maintenance, because that's part of the balancing act that you have to do on city council is which one do you want to cut? You want to cut community service officers, or you want to cut park funding? But that's always an issue with the parks and what they want to do. South City Park had to be gated for a long time. It's still, or fenced and gated. It still is. There's a plan in the works now to spend $10 million or some kind of thing to fix it all up again. I hope it works. You know, is the answer you don't try to improve the park at all? Maybe. I mean, I suggested maybe you just improve it a little bit, but you know, the council voted otherwise, and so that's not. Hopefully, it works.
I also wanted to say that it has been really impressive to see what the city has done in the community services department in going after grants. The funds are going to go to some community. It may as well be ours. And when you look at projects like Panorama Park and the bike park that is planned, those type of projects are significant for our current citizens that are here locally, and then also when people are looking at Redding and Shasta County as a place to live, I think that can make a difference too.
Yeah, it's making a lot of difference in business recruitment and trying to bring a business or talent. Talent's a big deal. Workforce is the #1 challenge in economic development nationally and really even globally right now. And that used to always be the historical model was how much are you going to pay for utilities, for land, for labor? Where are you going to go? Is it entitled? Do you have the site? Can you get a permit? And now the conversation really is shifting to we don't just need kind of the spreadsheet that shows us why this is a great community. We want to know, can people afford to buy a house? Do they have parks? Do we have good schools? And I think Redding does have a lot of these amenities, and we really shine. As much as we do have problems, we do have a lot of great amenities here that makes it a great place to live.
We actually do. We moved here in 1994, and I love it here. You could move, lots of people move out, but I've stayed, and lots of people do stay because you believe in the city and you believe in the community. That's why I took the job on city council. I want to try to make a difference. And I will say this, the city in general is pretty good about getting grants and looking for grants to try to improve the parks and improve the amenities that we have and improve the trails and this. You still have the maintenance issue, but as far as getting the grants and getting the money into Redding and doing the construction and doing those projects, the city as a whole does a very good job getting it. The parks are a good thing.
The Director of Community Services for the City of Redding, and wow, what a year we've had. So we started off opening up our new park at Salt Creek Heights. That was a partnership with the developers, and we built a castle on the hill. Very exciting to be able to bring a nice big playground to the west side of Redding. We also are well into planning start construction later this year on Shasta Ranch Park, really on the far other side of the city, near the airport. And that also is a partnership with the same developers to bring a large neighborhood park to that new subdivision, which will ultimately have over 700 houses and a new school. So having a park designed and built into that project is really exciting. We also restored 4 different playgrounds at our older existing neighborhood parks, so trying to put a refresh and new life into those. Cumberland Park in particular, we did a new swing set and had some community fundraising around that. It was a great celebration and really brought that neighborhood together. Also, I'm excited at Big League Dreams. That has been a work in progress, but also breathing some new life into that. The construction crews have been here. They've got a lot of work done. And the new ownership is bringing new resources, new energy, kind of get that facility back on track. South City Park. So, we had over a year of community engagement around that and lots of input from the neighbors and Garden Track, Parkview, the Cliff Drive area, and ultimately came up with a design that is going to have a lot of attractions. So we're going to have a big destination playground, pickleball courts, walking path, a dog area. So really, after many years and some great sadness of having to lock that park down, we are very close to being able to reimagine and bring back this important downtown park. We're also celebrating right next door the 100th anniversary of Tiger Field, and the work that the Colt 45s have done there has been amazing. And then next door that is a library, of course. And so we have a great children's department again, and lots of resources at the library, including one that I really enjoy, which is the Libby audiobook subscription. Free audiobooks, I highly recommend it. And we're working on a project to redo all the flooring, which is going to give us the opportunity to completely reorganize the library. And then closing that off would be public art. So it's been also a really productive year for that. We had new murals downtown. We had the manzanita on the water pump station on the river trail, as well as up by the Stress Ribbon Bridge. And then later this year, we're going to be installing, with the sponsorship of the Emerson family, a large sculpture in honor of Susan Emerson. And it will be that landmark on the other side. One of the things I'm probably most excited about is the work on trails right now. We've been working with our federal land partners and local organizations on what we're calling the Future of Redding Trails. And this is to master plan out a number of new trail systems and segments so that we can create connections between our different trail destinations and really put Redding on the map, both for mountain bike trails, but just overall walking trails. Yeah, it's been a fun and busy year. We've also set in motion many exciting plans into the future, and look forward to seeing it all come together.
So another big question that comes up, I'm sure to you and to us as well all the time, is what's going on Park Marina, the riverfront, Civic Auditorium, the rodeo grounds. There's a lot happening in a very small area, but it's really obviously a prime area for our community.
So in a nutshell, the city got an unsolicited offer from McConnell, K2 Development, and a company called Populous. And the offer was to purchase the convention center and the rodeo grounds. Purchase is not exactly the right word, but they wanted exclusive rights to be in charge of the property. And once they got that, then they would fund money for a plan, a riverfront specific plan to say how should it be developed and what do we want to go do. The council spent a long time on that offer, and it was an unsolicited offer. And at the vote that came up when we had to decide whether to sell the property or not, and that involves the Surplus Land Act, which is that's beyond the scope of this conversation, but the council voted no on that and instead said we will do our own specific plan to see how to develop it. It's really kicking the can down the road. The plan is a guideline, the riverfront specific plan, but it can be amended and can be changed. So it's just a general view of what would you like to see in this particular area. I think the area is fine. I think the rodeo grounds and the convention center are okay. Maybe they could use a facelift, but the convention center is being run by Advanced Redding, and they've got a 10-year lease, and they've made a lot of improvements to it. So I think that's okay. The rodeo grounds needs a longer-term lease, and that's a big issue in the community. And I think that's one of the most important issues that people will have to decide is: do you favor selling the Civic Center and the rodeo grounds or not? Do you want the Cowboys to stay there for another 75 years or 50 years, or do you want it to change? And whatever the citizens vote for or what they want to do, that's what will happen. So if a majority wants it to change, it will change. Anyway, that's my spiel on the rodeo grounds and the convention center.
One of the really most direct ways that any business interacts with the city is through the permit center. And there's always lots of conversations about how it's going and efficiency and all these things. And what have you seen during your time on the council with some of the improvements to the permit center?
The permit center has gotten better. They just recently implemented an online ability to get permits, I think, for solar panel work. And it took a little while because it was one of the first ones that they did. I think I heard recently they're up to 10 different permits now they have that are online. So that's a good thing. That'll help the community and the contractors when they want to go online and they don't have to come in and fill it out in person. It's one of the things where government and the private sector interacts. They have to interact. And every time you have that, it's never perfect. You know, people say, well, you should do this and you should do that, and the government says, well, no, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. You have to do so and so, and there's always friction. It's a constant issue, and the city's always working to try to make it better, and I think they're doing a good job so far to make it better, and make it easier.
My name's Jeremy Pagan. I'm the Director of Development Services for the City of Redding. The Riverfront specific plan, we're working on community engagement. That's the main focus of our department right now, is to reach out to the community, hear what they have to say, hear their vision and what they want. So we're holding stakeholder interviews, we're having open houses, we're also having the formation of a community coalition to reach out to the community, hear their thoughts, hold public meetings. The name of the game for the next 6 months is get out to the community, hear what they have to say, and then we'll proceed with drafting the document and working on the formation of the document itself in 2024. The general plan update is nearing completion. We have finished the EIR public comment period. Staff's going to be working on responding to those comments, having some more public meetings about the general plan draft itself. Then we'll be taking it to Planning Commission and City Council in late 2023. We're hoping that document will be adopted in early 2024. When the document's adopted, it doesn't necessarily mean anything happens per se, but it's a guiding document, it's an aspirational document for future development of our town, and it helps guide decision makers later on. So it'll be a guiding overall sort of, they call it the constitution of planning, to help our planning commissioners and our city council members make decisions from 2024 and beyond. I'm excited about recent advances we made in the permit center. We've got new management in there who's doing a great job with some new ideas, new checklists, new procedures, new staff. We're really focusing on customer service, and we're placing an especially big focus on our online offerings of permits. So we have 9 online permits now. We've tripled that from 3, which I'm really excited about, and really proud of staff for all the work they put in. And really into 2024 and beyond, we're hoping to revolutionize the permit center and just make us more of a 21st century operation where people can use an app, they can come in, they can do online appointments, really a full service customer service experience for our permit center. So overall, really proud of our team and the successes we've had, and looking forward to more in the future.
Other developments in town would include Stillwater Business Park, which has a long history, and there's been a lot of movement at Stillwater since you've been on the council.
Stillwater's been an interesting prospect. It's been around for 20 or 25 years. It was very slow for a long time. In the time that I've been on the council, almost 5 years, we've done a lot of work on it. We've had a lot of prospects, and some are come to fruition, and so it's definitely moving forward. Is it going to be the economic generator that the city thought it was going to be at the beginning? Probably not. But what do you do with it otherwise? You're trying to do something with it. It just takes a long-term project. Generally speaking, I don't think the city should be in the process of competing with private developers. So, had I been on the council to begin with, I don't think I would have voted to buy it. I would have said, no, that's not your job. Your job is to provide roads and utilities and electricity and police and fire, and leave it at that. You don't get into the business development part, but they did, so you got to do something with it. So I think it's helpful that it's moving forward. Is it ever going to be a big money maker? Only time will tell.
Another area that's seen a lot of growth in the last few years is the airport. What can you tell us about the airport, where we're at now, and where we're heading?
Since we moved here in '94, I've used the airport extensively, and I've seen lots of changes there. All the changes are for the good. For the most part, the changes have been due to local businesses saying we're going to fly more out of the Redding Airport, and that's a good thing for the community. Hopefully, it'll continue. Hopefully, people will continue to use it. Does it cost a little bit more? Yeah, it does sometimes. But when you take you factor in the whole cost, and driving to Sacramento and paying for parking versus paying for parking here, and it's a matter of convenience. I think the airport's good. The other difficulty with the airport is that a lot of the money that you get for it has to come from the FAA, so it takes a long time to get it. they have certain requirements you got to meet, you got to do this and that. The airport's done a very good job. They're trying to get more income generating businesses out there, maybe a hotel or something across the street that could pay some taxes and do this and that. So things like that, they're working on it. It's just a long, slow process. But I'm very pleased with what the airport's done so far, and hopefully it'll keep doing it.
I'm Steve Bade, the Assistant City Manager. I serve as the Director of the Housing Authority and our Housing Community Development section. I also serve as our Director of Economic Development. That includes Director of the Airport and also Redding Area Bus Authority. And I also oversee the economic development side of Stillwater Business Park. And within Stillwater, we have probably 3 good transactions right now in escrow. We have one that's just closed last week, and they're looking to develop a distribution center out at Stillwater. And then we have a couple other developers that are interested in the remaining 5 or 6 lots that we have. For the airports division, the airport is growing, and we're one of the fastest growing airports in the United States. One of the main things we're working on is our master plan. That master plan is really set to accommodate some of the fire attack services that we'd like to provide here at our airport, whether that's public or private. And then also we're trying to expand our terminal design and our operations here at the airport, really looking out into the future and growing in the right directions. Over the next year, we are right now in the middle of a design of our runway rehab project and also the runway lighting project. That project will take effect in October of 2024. It's a $26 million project that's going to make a big difference in our runway and how it is responding to those airlines that use it and make it best for the community and the businesses within the community. For community development, we've been really focusing a lot on downtown, and within downtown we're creating affordable housing. We've just finished our last big project, which was our California Apartments project, and that brought in 79 units of affordable housing. And along with that affordable housing, the key to that was bringing in the infrastructure dollars that we needed to improve our underground utilities and complete the streets and roads within that, and do that with our development partners in order to restore the downtown grid. And that restoring that downtown grid brings the active spaces back to the storefronts. By those investments, now we're going to see some of that market rate development. Market rate in the commercial aspect, at Market Center or even along California Street in the new buildings that were created, or even new developments that would bring in market rate housing. We're going to continue to support our developers and our business community and make Redding that business-friendly community, especially in our downtown and throughout our city.
Well, we've covered a lot today, and I think it's been really informative. It has been for me, and I hope it will be for the audience as well. I think in closing, one of the questions that I get oftentimes is, so what does the future hold for Redding and for the business community? And of course, I'm always optimistic because we're the Chamber of Commerce. We know that there will be challenges, but we always see that that lake is half full and rising, so to speak.
The lake rose this year.
It did, and it's been a beautiful thing. So with that, Mayor Dacquisto, what do you see the future for Redding? How do you see it?
I see the future as promising, but it's going to require a lot of participation from the community and a lot of civic involvement. If you can participate and help, that really is important in whatever capacity you can go and do. I think that's a good thing to do. We've been here since '94, and I love it here. I think it's a great thing to do, and that's why I've joined City Council, is to try to help. I find it very rewarding. And I appreciate all the people at the city and the staff, and they all try to do a good job, and I think they do a pretty darn good job running the city.
Agreed. Well, Todd, I want to thank you for spending time with me and with Mayor Dacquisto today as our honored guest.
Thank you for having me.
And partner in economic development and business locally. And Mayor Dacquisto, thank you for your service to our community in this capacity and many others.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you both very much. I enjoyed it.